Hiya, I hope you're okay. Today I'm going to do like a plummy blue smoky eye look. I've literally got a few Zoom meetings and things, and as I did yesterday, I've got a few new bits to play with, so I thought we'd kill a few birds with one stone. So I'm going to start with the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better foundation and take this all over. And this dries to quite a velvety finish. So I've also got a nice cream highlighter today to just make sure I'm adding some luminosity in as well so that it looks nice and radiant. And then the colours I'm going to use, I want you to think like the little girl out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that turns into a giant blueberry. They're all blues with that kind of almost pinky undertone. It's a new Urban Decay palette, and I was having a little play with it on my hands last night, and I thought, do you know what, I don't think I've done any colours like that in a little while. I do tend to love my browns, so I'm just going to have a little experiment. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of this across my eyes as well. Someone asked me about this the other day, actually. Personally, obviously I've got a lot of redness to contend with, but around my eyes is never too bad. I feel like I can kind of cheat it with a bit of foundation. So if I need concealer, I'll always go in with it, but most of the time I feel like just the excess of my foundation does the job for me. But by all means, I've got a little video. If you go down through my IGTVs, there is a video on concealer and kind of how to make it work for you and that kind of thing. Okay, normally I would powder my eyes here, but I'm going in with, this is the Urban Decay Ultraviolet palette, which is really lovely, unusual colours, for me anyway. Now, what I find with Urban Decay, I'm going to start by going in with a synthetic brush and some of this euphoric shade. I often find with Urban Decay palettes that they go on a little bit better using your finger. So I'm just going to buff through the socket here an initial outline of where my colours are going to go and help to create that really seamless finish through the socket. But then when I'm actually packing my colour on, I may go in with my finger. Although that said, this is going on really well with the synthetic brush. The reason I say synthetic is synthetics tend to work especially well with creams. And I feel like some of the textures in this palette are verging on almost like a putty texture. So that's what I'm using to buff this one through. And then the colour I've got in mind for my lids seems to have quite a lot of glitter through it. So just to eliminate the risk of any drop down, I'm just going to press that in with my finger as opposed to trying to buff it on in back and forth motions with a brush. So just making sure that I've taken that through the socket. I'm actually going to buff some all over the lid, just to give me a little template for where these glitters are going to go. And you know what I always think with these colours? I love trying something a bit different, because if you don't like it, you can just take it off and start again. But 9 times out of 10, like, I wouldn't usually pick this colour and I absolutely love it. And you end up thinking, oh, why didn't I have a little experiment with that before? So that actually feels lovely as it is. I'm going to take a smaller brush and just take some of that under the waterline, right the way under here. And then once I've got my frame in place, I'm going to deepen everything up. So taking that right the way under. There we go. Now, the colour I want to use is this purple dust colour, which looks really dark on your finger, but then does have a lot of glitter through it. So when it catches the light, it ends up being quite iridescent. So I'm going to take this and buff it over that little template that I've already put in. Now I want to get right into these inner corners here. But if you can see, because I already put that template in, it just helps to make this transition that bit easier. And smush it all out. And then you see you've got the softness of that purple in the background, but ultimately a really, really smoky eye on the lid. I feel like the change in weather has just really made me reach for all of these darker colours now. I'm looking at everything that I'd put to one side thinking, oh, I must use that. And I can't be bothered now. It's all a bit too soft. I'd rather go in with these much richer colours. Now, just buffing that out, I'm going to take some of that darker colour underneath as well to make sure that I'm not too top heavy. But again, the outline of that purple underneath will soften the transition between the lighter and darker colour. And then, how much time have I got? I'm 7 minutes in, I'm not doing too badly for time. There's also this digital colour that seems like a nice traditional brown with almost a little hint of this plumminess to it. I might just take a tiny bit in these outer corners. Do you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm already regretting that I've gone over some of that purple. I think it's going to be fine, but I'm going to go back in with a synthetic brush and the original purple and just soften the edge of that brown so that, again, you've got this transition of your darker area into the softer purple in the outer edges. Might just kick them out a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, do I want an eyeliner with this? Yeah, why not? I'm just going to go in with a little bit of black NARS Kohl. I actually think if I'd planned ahead, that would have been really pretty with like a bright blue or something. But I can always do that another time. No. Just trying to get that in without disturbing my lenses. And now I'm going to go in with, I haven't used this before, this is a new Urban Decay Lash Freak mascara. I feel like there are so many new mascara launches at the moment, so I'll just keep working my way through them and you can have a look. Now the brush on this one is plastic, and if you can see, it's like a ski slope comb, so we shall see. And I'm just going to go straight in. I have to admit, I was a bit worried that that was going to put too much product on, but by the time I'd worked it through, it's actually very nice. You could see there a second ago how it seems to put a lot on. it almost seems to deposit the product and then you can tickle it out. There we go. I'm going to do the underneath. There we go. And then I think because I've gone, in fact, no, I think because I've gone so rich on my eyes, I'm going to do a really soft brow. I might actually just put a bit of brow gel through it. Before I go that far, I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of bronzer. This is the NARS Vallarta. It's a matte bronzer as well. So it'll sit nicely on top of this foundation. Just taking this really through that hairline, rather than all over per se. I'm trying to touch anywhere that the sun would naturally hit. And also I feel like kind of going OTT on the bronzer around the nose helps to give the illusion that you haven't got as much coverage on, which makes everything look nice and fresh. I have to say, one of the things I do really like about the Your Skin But Better, because it's not, you know me, I always wear CC cream, so I'm used to a really dewy finish. So I've been really experimenting with that to see how I'd get on, because it's so different. But I think because it's not dewy and it literally just looks like a second skin, you look like you've got less makeup on. So that's been quite nice, because CC cream is so full coverage and luminous, even though it gives you a lovely soft, I mean, that's my favourite product of all time, to be honest with you. But you can tell you've got makeup on because it just gives you that extra luminosity. Even though it's fresh, it's detectable. Whereas that looks, you'd be forgiven for thinking far away you haven't got that much on. Right, bit of Bobbi blush. This is a lovely mixture of like blushes and highlighters. So again, it's going to lift and add radiance. There we go. Now, I've just noticed I've got a wipe here. Tiny bit of drop down, that's taken care of. Here we go. I'm going in with a little bit of the Suratt Diamanté. It's a cream highlighter. Now I've brought down a little MAC 132. I'm gonna actually, sorry, I'm not showing you what I'm doing here. I'm gonna pick this up with the brush and just really gently press it on. This is quite a cool highlighter. It comes up quite, I don't want to say silvery, but it's definitely not gold, you know. So I thought it would be nice with the cooler tones of the purple. And I might just take a tiny bit of that along that brow bone. Oh gosh, I've got 1 minute left. Okay, I'm gonna quickly put some brow gel on. Run it right the way through. And then I was going to put some liner on as well. I don't know if I've got time. I'm going to go in with a bit of NARS gloss. This is Snow Petal. It reminds me of Oyster Girl, which I remember my sister used to have when we were younger, because apparently J-Lo wore it. I don't even know if that's true, but that's what we thought. And I always used to want my own little Oyster Girl. So that's very similar. Anyway, I've run out of time to do any liners, so I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you again soon.